Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh, aka the Badass Josie Hough, unleash it in a badass campaign, helping women like you to ditch all that negative nonsense going around in your mind, live a more fulfilling life, and to make a memorable impact. As you know, guys, I'm doing these stories which I release every Sunday with badass women, awesome women, but ordinary women doing extraordinary things, I call it. People like me and you, who we can relate to, who are making an impact. They're taking their stories and want to create a better tomorrow, want to create a change. Someone being real badass at the moment about body confidence is my wonderful next guest, Josie. Who? Have I pronounced that right? Josie Hough. Couldn't get that wrong. Josie Hough. Josie won't mind me saying that she had real, deep, big time body confidence issues, but this badass really fought back. We're going to be talking to Josie more about that, so stay listening. Hey Josie, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
I'm very, very well, my darling, very well. So we're here to talk about this whole body confidence thing. I know you are passionate about it beyond words. You are holding no punches neither, which is what I love about you. So just tell me, when did this start? When did this body confidence issues begin?
Okay, wow, a very long time ago. So I'm 24 now, and I'd say my sort of problems with my body image started at probably age 6.
Wow.
As a child, I was always worried about being bigger than the other girls, and that was the message that I sort of a lot of my friends, not my fault obviously, but were very small, like smaller than me, and I always thought, like, why am I so much bigger? And it was always seen as a problem in my head, and also like portrayed by the media and everything. So I always felt, like that being bigger was wrong or a problem to be fixed. And then sort of growing up, it just became always something that I was self-conscious about as a young teen. Just kept going, basically. And then sort of age 15, 16 was when I first sort of lost a bit of weight. I started running, and it became kind of like very addictive. And it was something that I was able to do that was sort of fixing something. Yeah.
Yeah, so before you carry on, because I want to move forward to 15, 16, I just want to go back to age 6, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I know we're going back some time, but your earliest memory of that, and that's important to me, you saying that age, because I actually tell people quite a bit in my poems and my talks that the stereotypes actually form by age 6. By age 6, yeah. It's in our brains. So that's quite significant, you saying that number. And was your mother aware of it, do you think? Or your father was aware of it by that stage?
I think so. I think, it's hard to sort of say to your children, like, obviously they gave me all the right messages, like, you're beautiful as you are, you don't need to change and all of this. But think about how much time you spend out of home, at school and stuff. You see pictures in the supermarket, on magazines, and children aren't stupid, and they're very, very susceptible to everything like that. They say that children's brains are like sponges. So, you're soaking up all of that messaging as, well, it's not even subtle. That's the thing. It's not at all. The front of magazines, or just all these women's magazines, will say, like, which celebrities have got the most cellulite on the beaches this summer, and like, oh, so-and-so's gone up to a size 14. Like, it's the most interesting thing about that person, or the most important thing. And that's what I got aged 5, 6.
I know, it's funny you saying that. I was in my supermarket the other day, local cooperative, in the queue, but because I'm on this, so I've got that third eye, that I'm just really conscious of it. I took a video of it, which I haven't shared actually, I must remember to share. And literally I took a video of all the magazines at eye level. All right, so it's going into our subconscious brain, because really we're just doing our supermarket shop. And this is not just cooperatives, it's all the same. And every single magazine, females magazine, first of all, they weren't inclusive, so they didn't show many people of colour, but every picture was how big she is, how small she is, her cellulite, how much weight she's got, what man she's got, what man she hasn't got, how she's prepped, everyone. And this is the messages that's being subliminally slipped in the back of our heads. So I know exactly what you mean. A real bee in my bonnet, that one.
Yeah, it really is. And it's just I think it's dangerous. It's almost like, what are we prioritizing? Like telling our children, we're not prioritizing happiness at all. We're not saying to them, these are the things that make you happy and successful, and like, what are you interested in? What are you interested in doing? You know, for women especially, like, and it is a problem for, you know, boys as well, increasingly with toxic masculinity, and that, you know, have to look a certain way, you know, have muscles and that kind of thing. But it is a vastly different situation for women.
Absolutely.
Like, because, you know, all of the magazines for women say that, you know, at least men have these magazines that are about things, you know, cars, whatever, you have it, but at least it's something different than just bodies all the time.
Yeah, and because it's an argument I get into something with that with a lot of people, and they say men haven't go through it too, and I know. I mean, I have a son, a black son. I'm fighting other battles there, but yes, and particularly which is why my major fight is for the whole thing around gender. These are the messages which are steeped in fairy tale stories, really. How beautiful you are, how pretty you are. You get that man to rescue you, and these messages are just being perpetuated over and over again. So you're totally right. From age 6, this is what's happening. So we're going to fast forward now. You've got to age 15. You started running. Can you continue where you left off there, Josie?
Sure, yeah. So I sort of started getting into running. I started to lose weight, started to feel more confident in myself. But it wasn't, I think what's important to stress there is that it wasn't the fitness or being able to run that was giving me the confidence. It was the fact that I was losing weight. If I'd have stayed the same size, I don't think it would have had the same impact, or would have led to the same sort of, you know, consequences. So yeah, I started losing weight and just sort of got a bit hooked on it, carried on, and just went too far, and it became obsessive. And at that point, so I think I was 16, it was like my year 11 prom kind of age. And I can look back on pictures now and I cannot believe how small I was. Like, it is insane. At the time, I still thought that I had weight to lose, like that I should be a bit smaller than I was. And it just angers me now, because I feel so much of my sort of teenage years, I was just so consumed by this. It is an illness, it's a mental illness. It starts off as something else, but that's what happens. And I think there's a misconception that you're choosing to do it, and it's just dieting. What might start as dieting becomes something else. That's the thing. That's the problem. So yeah, I'd say that's
when you say that, how much of your mind it consumes. If you were going to put a percentage on it, how much of your mind would you say was consumed with this singular thought?
I'd say 70% of the day, like on bad days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think it consumes about 2%. So that's the progress.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll obviously get to that. Just want to sort of take it back to where you were, because you're not alone. It's a problem. And said for myself, how I first started getting into all this, I actually went out there to teach women public speaking, and realised that they were consumed with what they look like. And the thing is, while that is consuming, I actually said 80%. So it's interesting. I'm intrigued by these figures, these statistics, because I was saying it was consuming 80% of their working memory. And while you're consumed doing that, well, the bit that you need to perform and to do your talk and what have you, it's not there, because it's all consumed with what you look like, and it has obviously nothing to do with your ability. But we'll go on to that. So while you were during these times, what would you say were some of the darkest moments? I know you touched on that, being on holiday with your family. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'd come back from traveling. I think I was 19, and my family sort of were all commenting and saying, like, it's gone too far. Like this, they were really, really shocked, and it was family friends as well. And I didn't see it though. I just thought, what are they talking about? They don't know. They're probably just saying it because it's just a difference, you know. And I was overweight. I thought was overweight before, and just now that I'm at a normal size, and that now they're just shocked by the difference. And that's the thing. That's the mental illness that tells you. That's the voice that's in your head. You think it's your voice, but it's not. It's the voice of the anorexia or the, you know, eating disorder voice. And yeah, I just thought, oh, it doesn't matter. They'll get used to it, and that would be fine. All of this, and you just ignore every single sign. And there began to be so many that there was a point when I thought, like, have I taken? Is there something going on? You know, what have I done? Have I taken this too far? Is this, you know, irreversible damage and that kind of thing? because I also wasn't having any sort of like monthly cycles at all. So that's another sign of anorexia. It's called amenorrhea, I think it's called, when you don't have any menstrual cycles and stuff. So,
and I know you're quite tall. You have a beautiful height.
I'm tall.
Very tall. How tall are you?
I think 5'10".
5'10". What weight did you go down to at your lowest point? Do you remember?
I think it was about just under 8. I think 7 and a bit.
Wow.
But it looked very small on me. Like, I think it depends. Some people go down to crazy small, like weights or whatever, but still somehow don't look as small, which is the problem then, because they think, but I still look, okay. Like I can still get away with it, that kind of thing.
No, I know that's very small because I'm 5'7", and in my younger days, at my slimmest, and I know I was like very, very slim then. I was, I think 11 stone. So you're taken off 8, 9, 10, 11, and I was 3 stone off of that. And I'm tall, and you're taller than that. So I know that must have been quite small. So this was on holiday. You mentioned that you almost felt it ruined everyone's holiday as well. You touched on, is that right?
I think my perspective of everything was sort of had this like wash over it of this, this thing that I was obsessing over, what I looked like. It was so consuming on everything, and actually it was very draining. And I every meal out we would go on, I would always be thinking about how many calories had this in, and what was I wearing, did I look as nice as the other girls, that kind of thing. Like, what were people thinking of me? If you heard about it from an outsider's perspective, your first thought would think, God, how egotistical and how self-involved is this person, which is true to some extent. That the mental illness is very inward-looking and inward-facing, but it's not how you see it. It's almost like a fear. It's how I can try and describe it, like a fear of what other people are thinking of you. Okay. So yeah, I think that's why maybe sometimes people find it hard to have compassion with someone who's going through it, because it can seem very like, come on, gain some perspective, and like, there are bigger things than what you look like. But at the time, it's everything. It's like,
I know for me, because gosh, I've had other issues. There's loads of them. This is not about me. People can read it on my profile. But for someone like myself, I remember when I discovered there was this, first stumbled across this issue where people were really concerned about what they looked and felt it defined them, and felt it even made them believe this is what they're able to do. I thought to myself, because I didn't have the body confidence issues, like I said, tens of others, but not that particular one. And I found it absolutely nuts, for example, just couldn't understand it, that I was speaking to someone who was looking back at me and would say things like, well, I can't do it. So we're talking about public speaking. I can't do it because I'm not slim enough. I'm too podgy. And they were looking at me. And by this stage, I'm no longer 5'7" and 11.5, so I'm an awful lot bigger. And I remember thinking, are they for real? Because I can do it, and I don't tick any of those boxes. And I thought it was absolutely bizarre that we're looking at each other. I do not have those characteristics that you're highlighting. But you still feel in your mind, this is resolute in your mind, that this defines you, defines your ability, and defines what you can do. And I struggled with that, to understand that, which is why I wanted to speak with you and get this out there so I could better understand what is going on. And you're doing a great job, so thank you.
That's okay. Well, I think the reason for that is you sort of make excuses for other people being able to do it. So, you say like, oh, they can do it because, X, Y, Z, they're more confident. And this is what I was saying to you before about how the eating disorders and sort of body image stuff, it is about that. It is about your body and how you feel about yourself and control and stuff. But really it's a cover up for something else that's going on underneath, sort of a lack of confidence, wanting to fit in, wanting to be normal, is probably goes back to, something that's happened in your childhood, which, different relationships, interactions you've had at school, growing up, at jobs. It's probably a mass of so many different things that have contributed to you feeling like you need to control something. Yeah. And if you latch on to this one thing, you can control your weight. That means that it's a distraction from anything else. And it's the same as any other addiction, gambling, drugs, smoking, alcohol, anything. shopping, you know, is a cover up for something else going on that you can latch onto and just think, yeah, it's fine because I'm sorting this out. I won't think about.
And you're totally right as well when you said that you make an excuse for it why that person can do it. And you're totally right. People would say to me, oh, you can do it because you were born that way. And in one way, it's like very complimentary. But then it would make me cross. I thought, with all the work and the money I've spent and the time I've invested to master this skill, and you just wipe it off with like, you were born this way. And I'm like, no, actually, sort of thing.
It was more the mental battle of being consumed by any of it. It's all been the same. At any low point, it didn't really matter what was happening with my body or food or whatever. It was more just, the mental side of things.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because because the food is the thing that we're using. So I say to people, if I get stressed, I'm now at that stage where I overeat kind of thing. So people think, well, don't eat. But they don't realise that, but it's not the food, it's the psychological issue going on underneath. So I would just think like, okay, I'm stressed, what is causing this? I'm now able to third my thinking and go to the root. But you're right, the food is just the tool that's being used. It really is all the other psychological stuff going on. So I think that's really, really important point.
And often I think journaling is a really good, if I was to give some tips, I'd say journaling is really good it's really hard to get into the practice of doing it when for so long you've thought, there's lots of things going on. Maybe you're stressed with work, home life's just a bit all amok, like you haven't done your laundry, like loads of things that are just, piling up. And you just think, right, what's your go-to? For some people, it's like, right, I'll go to the gym and I'll do a workout. Because at the gym, you're thinking about nothing else, just that. And then, that's, you're taking your mind off everything else. It's a distraction tool. If you go to the fridge and, just make yourself a snack and make a meal or whatever, and you just feel that's all you're doing at the time. That's all you're thinking about. You're not thinking about all the 5 other things that are stressing you out. But that's why journaling is really good, because you can, if you go to journaling in a time when you have those thoughts of, I'll go to the gym now. You think, no, stop. Why am I doing this because I actually want to go to the gym, or am I doing this as a, cover up to something else? So then you write out how you're feeling, and there's this thing called, like, I can't remember what it has a name.
I'm going to actually hold you there, because I want to get 3 wonderful tips from you at the end. So
okay, sure,
journaling, and then I've got a note of that to go back to that, and then I'd like to tell us like how you go about that. But just before I take that forward to there, I just wanted to go back to this thing about the cover up. Really key words I don't want us to rush by, and I remember when we spoke about this before, you felt that the whole thing is a cover up for other issues going on, and a bit like, key points here, a bit like, gambling or shopping addiction or sex addiction. I always say to people, they're all just addictions. They're just manifested in another way. Can you tell us about the cover up side of things? Can you just expand on that a bit? How that manifested in the whole eating disorder, body confidence thing?
Yeah, so I think at uni, it sort of manifested itself the most, I guess, because you have a lot of time. And with the degree I did, you only have like 6 contact hours a week. So you've got a lot of time of self-study, and you've got a lot of hours to play with, to do, to do your choice, to do what you want with. So you could study, but you could also have a really long lie-in and then, spend the whole day in front of the TV. And I think it's a huge, when you're feeling stressed about your dissertation or about an essay or something, you just don't want to go to it, you don't want to look at it, so you just sit there at home and like, right, I'll just have a cup of tea, okay, I'll just have some biscuits, I'll just have another piece of toast. And for me, I know this doesn't happen to everyone, but I would have several days of that, just constant grazing throughout the day. And that's probably the best way to describe it, is like grazing. But I wasn't hungry at any point, and it's almost like I knew that I wasn't hungry, but I was consciously just choosing to do that as a thing to do, to distract me from everything else.
And do you think it was maybe a cover up? And I don't want to put words into your mouth that either was or it wasn't, so don't say it was if it wasn't, for other issues that were going on in your life, do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was very much like the stress from work, definitely the stress from my school, like studying. Probably relationships as well. Like, I haven't delved too far into it yet. thinking about why. But yeah, it definitely is. And I think it's definitely a control thing, like 100%. It doesn't even have to be big things. It's just like, if you can't control, you know, how many friends you have, or for a lot of people I know, sort of moving towards the end of their uni life, they sort of maybe not lost friends, but sort of lost touch with some of them. And that can be quite hard hitting. And it makes you feel like you can't control what other people choose to do, or, you know, if they want to be your friend. And I think so it's something that you can't control, and then you sort of try and control something else to make up for that, if that makes sense.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. I've never heard that explanation before, so thank you very much. Because the more we understand, the more we become aware, the more we can consciously then do something about it if we realise that that may well be the issue.
Yeah. And I think spending time on my own was good as well.
Was that difficult initially, spending time by yourself?
Yeah, well, I kind of enjoyed it because my final year of uni, I went through some depression, and that was, it's really strange. It's like counterintuitive. You spend a lot of time on your own, but you also hate spending time by yourself. Like I craved other people's company, but felt like I couldn't, because I just couldn't be that high energy. Because the thing about depression is that you have very low energy. And I thought, you know, if I go to the pub with mates and I won't be able to keep up with all the banter and the like conversation and stuff. So yeah, but practicing enjoying my time by myself was really important. So that's why, you know, doing things of like self-care, you know, just by yourself and not sharing it on social media, you know, just spending time by yourself and doing things you like, baking, you know, painting your nails, having a bath, reading a book, watching a good movie, going for a walk, you know, any of those amazing things.
Wonderful. What I love about you, Josie, and I'm really grateful for you being so vocal and speaking up and doing what you're doing, is because what the media puts out there is that if someone stereotypically looks like you do, they're happy, they are perfect, and they are happy. And you are showing the world that it's actually not, this wishes to be in my bonnet. It has nothing to do with this, my lovely. It's for more what's inside. But I'm aware also I'm fighting a big old machine that is constantly pushing into the minds of other people that it is all this. So the fact that you fit the stereotype and had these issues going on, I think is incredibly important. So I just want to like really thank you for that, because I know what you're doing is courageous. It is brave. I call it truly badass. So I just want to
it's hard. It's hard to share because, and I think that's like a lot of friends and family have actually said, like, not to out them, but they've said, you know, should you be sharing this much, you know, out there in the public eye? Like, what are people going to think? And I'm just like, well, if I can share what I've been through, and someone says, you know, God, I'm so glad, because I actually went through something really similar, and now I feel a bit like less a weirdo or something, you know, like that's such a huge thing that you can do just by, you know, telling your story. And it's only human as well. I think we're all set up like I think with careers and everything, and you have to be like the perfect candidate and don't do anything to ruin your reputation or anything. But actually, I think it's quite empowering, and I think it's really admirable when other people have shared their stories. And I've thought, God, good on them for saying that, because that can't have been easy to tell people about. So yeah, just trying to do the same, really, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you, my darling. And you've said, you know, once again, some key things: care what people think about, and all the rest of it. And this is what silences us, especially as women. It silences us. It keeps us in our box. And in a way, it'll be healing for you, I'm sure, the more you're talking about it, because then it has no more power over you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're taking your power back. And this is what I'm loving about these series, is women speaking about things that, you know, ordinarily it'd be like, no, you don't talk about it. You've got to keep up this perfect image, which is making us ill. So yeah, this is why I say, you know, this is what makes you a badass, is that you're going against that. And yeah, you're totally right. If it helps one person, I did a talk with someone the other day, and I got there's lots of beautiful feedback. A husband committed suicide and what have you. And there was a particular message I got back, and it's like, well, it's worth it just for that one, isn't it? You know, like just for that one. You know,
if it saves one person's life, like, that's amazing.
that's huge. That's an impact that you've made. Do you know what I mean? So I just think you're beautiful. So thank you so much. And like I said, you've got people saying other things to you. So to go against that makes you a very powerful human being, my darling. So thank you for that. So your bio, I love because when I do talk to people, they have to send a bio in, and like yours was just like,
yeah, I know. I wrote it on the train. I was like on my way somewhere. I was with my boyfriend, and I was like, "Is this okay? Is it too much?" He was like, "Nah, go for it. It's amazing."
I was like, "Yo."
Quite intense, but I don't care. I'm done with not being intense
I
anymore.
just thought it was kick-ass. I love that you're going to read her bio. It's just like, I am taking it. And I'm not surprised because this took you somewhere. Do you know what I mean? This absolutely took you somewhere, and you're like, no more. So,
I think it's because I studied politics at uni. I'm a left-wing person. I'm very liberal, and I'm done with the right-wing politics of the time. I'm just done. I don't read the news anymore because I'm just so done. I can't. Oh, I just can't cope.
I thought you were also just like, we need more. So you think, and even you doing that, it's inspiring other. When I do posts like that, the amount of people come back to me are just like, Ingrid, you make me feel anything is possible. Do you know what I mean? It's like too right, mate. So we need women like you, my darling. So
thank you. And you. I think it's amazing what you're doing, like with these stories and everything that you do is great.
Thank you so much, honey bun. Thank you so. So in your bio, you said, I think the patriarch's to blame. I believe social media's to blame. So come on, air what you feel and be as pissed as you are at it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you just frozen again. You just froze again there. I'll sing to you. Okay. Josie, you froze. You froze. Froze. I hope you wasn't having a good old rant.
No, I was waiting because it told me the internet was going, so I'll carry on.
Okay, so go.
Oh yeah, 100% patriarchy's to blame. So I think one great thing that I would share is there's a lady, she's a fantastic lady called Megan Jane Crabbe. Crabbe is spelled Crabbe, and she released a book called Body Positive Power.
Okay, I'll make a note.
My best friend bought it for me for my birthday in my final year of uni. This was when I was going through some really like difficult times, obsessive about exercise and that kind of thing. And I read it and was blown away, honestly. So she basically analyzes why diet culture is so powerful, and in its sort of, it has its grips in so many women's lives, as its nails in, dug deep in, and why it has so much power over us and stuff is because it makes so much money. I can't remember how much money it makes now, but it is in the billions.
Yeah, huge.
So if you think about it, who owns the majority of those companies is men. And it's making money for these CEOs, majority led by men. And it's like, well, okay, obviously it makes sense that they're going to target women.
Sorry, let me just breathe there.
Yeah, I know. Another thing that I read is that if you keep women focused on something that is not impactful to let me rephrase that. If you guide women to focus on something like losing weight or making their bodies look a certain way, it does two things. One of which is it is looking a certain way to please men, right, in itself.
Yeah.
The second thing is that if they're focused on that, they're not focused on empowering themselves in the workplace and in society. So you're basically just pushing them down a little bit. Just like, I'm just quieting them down, because also what dieting does is it keeps you with low energy, and you can't really focus on anything else because it's exhausting and it's pointless because it never works. Something like
I knew about the one where it's just keeps them. The first point you made. What was the first point you made? That it makes them do what?
Like diet culture is run by men, basically, like all companies.
Yeah, it's for us to focus on what we look like, because I know there's a part of a talk that I do around that. And I take it right back and show them how that works. But and I realise unconsciously, because that's my thing, is that if you start focusing on the body, you can then impact. But I never really heard it spelt out like that. So I'm really mad.
Since I've stopped caring so much about what I look like, I've started going to poetry workshops. I started writing poetry. I read more. I took up cycling. I've just completed Ride London. Like, I've been more sociable. I went to a dance class last night, like, for fun, not for how it made me look, but it's
a good thing to do.
Yeah, just because it's fun. And I wasn't good at it. I was awful, but it doesn't matter, because it was, it's just about doing things that bring you joy. And as well, we're also, there's another message fed by society and sort of reinforced by the patriarchy, that women need a man. Like, you need a man to be successful. You need to be married. And it's not just in, it's in so many different cultures, but I can't speak for others, but having grown up in Britain, when this is one thing that bugs me. So if you're a career woman, and that's basically a woman with a job, they'll say, wow, aren't you amazing? You can handle kids and a job. And it's like, Lord, how do you do it? You're a Wonder Woman. When do you ever speak to a male CEO and they go, God, you've got kids and you're a CEO? You go, bro. That's amazing. No. It's just assumed, because to be the CEO, they were like, well, he's probably got, a wife who's handling the kids at home and that's how he manages. But for women, it's assumed that they're doing both, because, they should.
Because they should. And the thing is, there are so many things that are ingrained in our brain, because, even though I'm on it, I can still miss things. And someone else have to highlight it to me. I'm just thinking, I can't believe it. There's another bias in my head. No matter how much I'm on it, I'm still growing. I'm still educating myself. And it's like, crikey, I missed that one.
Because especially if not everyone is talking about it, if it's something that people are being sort of silenced on, and it's not something that is, comfortable to talk about, because it's not comfortable. It's disturbing the status quo. That these messages that women are given and how it's shaping society. Like, there's more CEOs named David, or is it John? I think it's John. There's more CEOs named David or John, one of those, than there are any women CEOs in the world. Like, I find that statistic absolutely staggering. It's awful. But I think
I talk about it as, this is my job. I talk about it a load, but I didn't grow up in that culture. So I know there's many times just like, why don't you shut up? I know there's some people that absolutely, I'm either loved or hated, and the one that you need a man. I mean, I purposely, whether it will change the future, I don't know. But on my posts and everything, I never talk about me and relationship in or out one or what have you, because it's such a bee in my bonnet that it's like, this is what defines you. And I'm actually trying to show people that you'll never know what situation I'm in that regard. Yeah. But it's not what makes me a badass. Do you know what I mean? I'm powerful either way.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. And I think the best thing about, if you are going to be in a relationship, you've got to recognize that, they can sort of make you feel more confident and they can make you happier and all of this, but you have to be all right on your own before you enter into a relationship.
Absolutely. And they can also crash if they're shite relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to know that if it ended next month, that you're not going to break down. But it's okay to be sad. That's the thing. It's okay, obviously.
Yeah. And that's my thing, is that we'll have to do another one on relationships, is that
I love that,
and your poetry, because your poetry is pretty badass too. My thing is that of course you'd be sad, it's like a death, isn't it? It's the loss of that person, blah blah blah. But I'm still awesome anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
With or without a man or a partner, because for those who are in same-sex relationships, you're still awesome with or without one. It's not what defines me. You've got to be kidding me. I'm too big for that. So,
but if you take that back to body positivity or body image and that kind of thing, we're told how important it is to get a man. Think about all the Disney movies. Like, what's the happy ending? It's the princess gets the man or whatever. And then we're told, okay, in order to do that, you have to look a certain way. There's a great line by a Lizzo song. It says, they used to say to get a man, you had to know how to look. They used to say to keep a man, you had to know how to cook. And I was just like, that is just ridiculous. It's great. I love Lizzo. I'm a big advocate of her. She's great. She talks about body positivity and everything. But so then if you add all that up, you're like, right, okay, so that's why we're so, one part of the reason why we're so obsessed with looking a certain way. We're told, you have to, that's the end goal. It's we take that out of the equation? What if it actually doesn't matter at all what I look like?
Well, what's interesting, which is why we've got to do another one on relationships, is because I follow none of those rules, absolutely none of them. And when I go out, I have no trouble pulling them, my darling.
Yes.
And what they say is just like, you're just a little bit more interested. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they can see I'm not focused on that. I'm free from those stupid beliefs. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, regardless of my size or what I look like and the rest of it, because you're giving off a different energy.
Yeah.
So it's a big, fat lie, let me say.
Yeah. And either way, confidence is probably one of the most attractive things, to another person, isn't it? So confidence in your abilities, in your mind, in your opinions, all of that, I think it makes
they love it.
Absolutely.
It is so sexy. It is so sassy. It is so attractive. Being a confident woman with a voice who stands for something. Do you know what I mean? I find people absolutely love it. So it's nonsense. So we've got to put that book and the link by Megan J. Crouch. She sounds like an awesome badass as well. Brilliant. So
you should have her on the podcast.
Say again, darling.
You should have her on one of these.
I'm gonna find her, don't you? It's like, Megan, come and speak with us. Come and get some more rebel badass women out there.
Yeah.
So do you remember the pivotal point, that point when you just thought like, right, this is utter nonsense? Was it that book that you just thought this is utter nonsense, and then you started clawing back your life? Just tell us about that transition.
Yeah, I'd say that book was the first time that I got a bit angry, I think. And that's because that's what she recommends in the book. She was like, when you just feel so trapped and all consumed by it, because she went through basically pretty much the same thing as I did. Yeah. Get angry at the system.
Oh, we're frozen. I'm sorry, guys, not sure what's happening here. It could be our internet connection. Okay, we're back again. Yeah.
I can see, okay, is it back now? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I got angry and sort of a bit like just.
And she says, so you were saying, she says get angry.
She says get angry. Yeah, she says in the book, just get angry at the diet culture, which is making billions out of your misery, the patriarchy, which is also doing the same, and this sort of the whole thing that's just zapping your joy, like it's taking years from your life. And she had a very similar thing, which has made me realize that years of my life was just had this like blanket over all of them. There was, this body dysmorphia and eating disorders and stuff. And I was like, I don't want that to be the next 10 years as well. God,
that is so funny.
I'm getting old.
Hold on a minute.
I'm joking.
I read a quote on this yesterday that said that actually it's just like, it's not where you've been, it's where you're going. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hold on, I am not doing this another 10 years of my life. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't want to be. So I'm 24 now, and when I was then, I think I was 22, 23 at the time, and I just thought, I don't want it to go on anymore. I can't be bothered. That's another thing that happens, is that you get a bit like this. I can't be asked anymore. It's just so exhausting. It's boring, and that's what I realised. I realised how boring I must have been to all of my family and friends. We're going, what do you think I look like? Do you think I look like
it is so.
And they're just like, Josie, we don't care at all. And I'm so glad I see that now, because I'm sure I'm much better at parties. People,
there's one of these posts I've got on my feed. I'll forward it to you. It's just like, have you ever met a perfect person? They're so boring.
Oh, but yes, yeah, they are boring.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm with you for 5 minutes. I'm like, beam me up, Scotty. I'd rather the person with a bit of a voice who I don't even agree with. Do you know what I mean? At least I can have a bit of a discussion. Do you know what I mean? But that's so perfect. You are boring. Do you know what I mean? It's not interesting.
No, it's not. And also what I find is boring is anyone who's never had a struggle. I can't relate to that.
I'm like, keep it moving.
God, it's like perfect life. No thanks.
I got pulled up on that once. I can't remember how someone described it. Oh, do you think someone's always got to have gone through shit or something? And it's like, well, I just know the reality of life. To me, that's perfect. Do you know what I mean? I find imperfections perfect because I just find you a bit more interested.
Yeah.
And, so my word, how I see the word perfect is different to everybody else. I say, yes, I'm perfect. And it's those humps and bumps or the rest of it, the phrase, colouring outside the line, that makes it perfect. But yeah, when I meet people who want to fit tightly into that box, it's boring. It's not interesting. I've missed my point, what I wanted to make there. But no, totally agree. This is, you know, much more interesting. So yeah, carry on anyways. Yeah. This is all part of your oh, that's what you said. You're saying that family were like not interested.
Yeah, and they never were, but they could obviously see how upset it made me. So they were obviously like we love you, Josie, and you know, like we'll always love you. It doesn't matter to us. And they kept saying it, bless them. And I thank so many of my friends and family who stuck by me for so many years whilst I was going through this. Particularly two, I won't name their names, but that I was traveling with. And they must have just been fed up to the back teeth of me for 5 months going through it. Like, they could obviously see that it was a problem. So that's probably why they didn't just desert me when we were in Thailand.
Oh,
but yeah, I owe them a lot. But
well, I like to big up the people who help support and put iron rods. I know you don't want to mention the name of this instance, but whoever you are, you'll know who you are.
Yeah, they will. Yeah,
massive big up to you, because we can't be alone. Even I have people who put an iron rod back in my back when I wobble, and we all need those people who you know, put the iron rods in our back or who support us through this. So yeah, big thank you to them from me as well. So
yeah, absolutely,
brilliant.
But yeah, so I think at that point I just was like, I'm fed up. I then did go through a bad batch of sort of Christmas stress, you know, eating and still struggling with my feelings. Then sort of last summer, I think it was, got my first job. I think very weirdly, entering the world of work did wonders, because I started working at charity.
Yeah.
And they basically, I just was focusing on helping other people and focusing on something real. Because studying sometimes just, you know, when before that, for my whole life, basically, I had been studying. I'd worked, but only like weekend work at pubs and stuff. But when you're thrown into like a real full-time job and you're like, okay, this is real life.
Yeah.
Suddenly, everything else that seems that, you know, physical and superficial and stuff, it just seems that, superficial and just a bit like, I don't have time for it. You're so busy. You know, you don't have time for all of that stuff. So
that's key as well. Actually, my dad is that I say to people is to focus on something bigger than yourself. You have to focus on something bigger than, and that's the thing. We're so driven. Even myself, I'm so driven by this. What I do, I've got no time to focus on those. And I do. When people like then focus on those other little things, I do feel my eyes like rolling over, and I'm trying to smile, but I don't care. I just think I've got really big issues that I'm fighting. And I don't mean that but it's like, come on guys, you know, I've got a big thing to fight here. And actually you say to people who I'm, you know, coaching, trying to recover, what have you, is to find something bigger than yourself. And that charity is obviously, it's a charity, isn't it? So it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
It just takes your attention away.
Definitely. And I think there's one, I can't remember where I saw this tip. I don't want to like copyright someone, or what's it called when you steal someone's idea. But yeah, I saw the thing of just like help other people in any time when you're feeling down, and it will instantly be like a boost of endorphins, because it selfishly it makes you feel good to help other people.
Right.
It's probably one of the best ways that best things you can do to make yourself feel better, because it's helping someone else at the same time. So, you know, go around to a loved one, an elderly relative you haven't seen for a while, have a chat with them, go and ask them how they are, offer to clean their car, you know, give some money or buy some lunch for a person who's homeless or something, you know, any little thing, and then think about it. And it just makes you feel better and takes you out of your, like, that really damaging headspace of thinking about whatever it is you're thinking about.
And so that's sorry, you're saying, because I want to go on to what are your tips and what have you, but I know you also actually cut yourself off from social media.
I have. It's been very strange, I have to say.
Quite.
I was obsessed with Instagram, like addicted, fully. I would go on it like every day, like on my commutes and that kind of thing, at lunchtime. So I've deleted my Instagram. I actually had a poetry Instagram as well, but I deleted that too, because I found that even that I was still using to like scroll and just sort of look at other people, comparing myself. And I think, a lot of what Instagram does is it makes you compare yourself to people who are basically just putting up their highlight reel. So, you know, it's the best bits of their life is on there, and only the shots where they think they look, you know, a certain way that's going to think other people look good, whatever. And also when you post things, you're also doing the same. So I've realized every time I'm posting something, you know, subconsciously or not, I'm thinking, okay, well, people are going to like this, and then, you know, that's going to make them feel a certain way. And it's like, actually, it's quite mean. It's quite harsh to, you know, say something and be like, oh, I'm having such a great time with my boyfriend on holiday and all of this. It's like, you know, you don't want to make
sometimes ask those things. It's like, well, what impact are you making to the world?
Yeah.
What's your contribution?
And I realised I wasn't reaching out to family and friends as much either, because there's this thought that, yeah, you are connected because you're on social media, but actually you might not have texted that friend for a while.
Right.
Just because you see her on social media doesn't mean that you're actually interacting in a good way, you know. So
indeed. I mean, I did a post once and I showed this picture of me drinking a healthy cup of tea, and then I put in the post like how many shots it took to achieve this picture.
Yeah, I love that. It's just real.
Yeah. Really keep it real, hon. Because even I'm also conscious of that. It's like what, but then always when you read a lot of my text and the bits beside it, it's always to be empowering. But yeah, it's totally right. So can I ask you some advice here, actually? Yeah. So my thing is that I am on Instagram and I only follow people who I find empowering in some way. Yeah. Especially around spirituality, because spirituality was a new area for me, which I took on 2 years ago. So I started running and so forth for well-being reasons and became more spiritual. So I only follow those accounts. And I'm not, when I see those images, obviously I'm more conscious and more involved there. I just see them as like fairy tale images. I'm literally, I don't really care. I flick past them, might give it a quick like to mate, and that's it. And I think it's admirable of you just to cut it off, because I do ask myself, why follow something if it's not empowering you, because you've got that going to, and if it's weakening you, then just to cut it off. But I want advice as an, so I'll say to people, if you're going to be on there are ways that it can empower you. Okay, you can follow people who can empower you. Is the temptation, is that not good advice? Because the temptation to look at those images that do disempower you, is that just too big, or you have to wait till you're strong enough to do that? What advice can you give me to give to others?
I think it depends on like how like addicted you are to like social media and how hooked you are into it. Because I was like really obsessed with it. I was like addicted to it. But if you're not as obsessed with it, then maybe it's okay to just unfollow all of the people who you think you don't like, or because sometimes that's people follow people they don't like in real life and they'll still like their pictures, and it just, to me, it's also false and like superficial. And I'm recently all about just realness and honesty and just like real human connection is what I'm looking for now, and you don't get that on Instagram. I guess what you can get, I like the idea of your running spirituality pages and stuff. I guess when the posts are focused on things, I think, or like an activity or hobby, I think that's really good because you can learn. Like, and if it's a tool for learning and sharing things, I think that's great. Like, I learned a lot about body positivity and even things like rock climbing, because I was into rock climbing at uni. And you see some really cool people doing cool climbs, but then even that, you can still, if you're the same personality type that, well, I think a lot of people are, that all compare themselves to others, you can at one point see, it's a different perspective. So you could see two people could see the same picture, and one person might think, oh, that's a really cool technique he's using there to climb that wall or something. I might use that or try it when I next go. Another person, and this is something that I often did, was thinking, oh, look how good he is. Like, I could never do that. And it's just, I think it's just probably a confidence thing. But if you're a low place with low confidence, maybe it is best to just sort of not follow them.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you're so right, because I know when I did my 30-day running transformation from a couch potato run in the park, and I was really demonstrating growth mindset to show that you can come from nothing, and to take it every step at a time, you can get to this, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was all empowering. And every single video, I was moaning my head off. Do you know what I mean? Like,
about
I hate this. This is getting on my nerves. I don't want to be here today. I kept it totally real. There's only a couple in that, and I was like, whoa, I actually feel great today. And still, I remember someone said them showing that to a friend, and they were like, oh, I feel a bit intimidated. I was like, intimidated? You can't. I'm bawling my eyes out on every video, telling you how much I hate it. But like you said, if you're in that, your video is frozen there. I'll wait for you to come back. You back now, Han?
Oh, I lost you there. Yeah, I'm back now. There you go.
So they showed it to a friend. Oh, it's my internet connection actually. So it's unstable. I showed it to a friend, and they said that they showed it to someone, and they still felt intimidated by it. And I couldn't. I was just like, I poured my heart out, telling you how crap I felt doing this, and still.
I think it's because you can't online. You can't get across everything. Like, for example, if I was to have, even watching this, I think some people might think, God, she's so confident being able to speak about her problems. If you sat me down and had a real coffee with me, like right now in real life, I'd be, I'd be saying the same things, but I don't know, there's something that you can't get across on social media to say, like, actually, to get up to do this run, I had to, give myself a bit of a slap in the face, go, come on, Ingrid, let's go for this run. Come on, like, talk to yourself so many times. People can't see that on like one post.
No. So yeah. And even if I tell them, they still.
Yeah, they still don't believe it.
No, exactly. They have no idea of the pain. But if we keep putting all we can do is our bit, right? And hopefully it will make that change. Yeah. My lovely, in closing, so how do we get hold of you? That's the thing. I'll answer that in a second. Just think about it, because I know you're not on social media, so you have to. If you don't know an answer now, I'll think about that and I'll put that in my post, because there will be people to get hold of you. And I know you want to go out there and make a change. But before I answer that, can you give me 3 badass tips to get your self-confidence back, to get your body confidence back? We touched on journaling. Do you want to emphasize that one a bit more?
Yes, I will. So I guess if you ever find yourself in a place where you think you're reaching for that, you feel that urge, that thing that's like, right, that thing that you're obsessing about. I won't say what it might be, because with eating disorders or body image, it can be a whole host of different things, and I don't want to like exclude certain things. But whenever you feel that thing that's coming and you're like, I feel like I'm gonna do that, think, right, so then get your book out, have a sit down and just write how you're feeling, and don't stop. So just keep writing, even if you say and this is a technique that I actually learned in poetry and a poetry workshop, but it works the same. So to get sort of creative juices flowing, you'll just keep writing, even if you're not making any sense, and eventually things will come. And there's the same with thoughts. Like, you'll just keep writing, and whatever's there, the subconscious, it will make itself known on the page, so it will just come out, and then you can read it back and think, okay, so actually it's not that not what you thought it was that was upsetting you, it's actually this. And then I guess you can look at it objectively and think, right, well, I've just written that I'm lonely, so how is going to the gym on my own going to fix that? It's not. So just I guess that's one thing, is just try and look at what you've written and think, right, am I actually doing something that's going to fix or help solve the thing that I'm feeling? Right, I'm lonely. Okay, so I'm going to call up my best friend, or I'm going to go visit my mum or something. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you're in that place.
It's a wonderful way, because one of my first tips is to slow down your thinking. Slow it down. So through journaling, that's allowing you to do that, isn't it? To slow it down and get to the real issue. Yeah. We're working on autopilot, so we're making quick decisions, doing quick things, and getting ourselves in the same quick shite situation. So this is a way of slowing down that thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're right. I think we live in such a fast-paced world that we're always told to have the answer right now, but actually you don't have to. If you're sitting, you can sit with the page in front of you for half an hour and not write anything if you don't know.
For real.
You just have to give yourself the time, because it's worth it to figure out what it is, because you don't want to be sitting there with, going around your daily life with that thought in your head and it just always being there. So you've got to get it out.
Get out. So tip number 1, journal and get that thought out. Tip number 2.
Tip number 2, this is a weird one, but I'm going to say it anyway.
I do weird. I love weird.
Okay, good. I'd say put on your favourite music, and I would highly recommend Lizzo, because she's great. And every single one of her songs is body positive and inclusive and just empowering for women all over. And take off all your clothes and just dance naked in front of the mirror. Like,
love it.
Sexiest goddamn beast there is alive, because you are. And it's amazing. It's amazing how great you feel. The first time you do it, you'll think like you might, because there are some people who, and this was me as well, I just didn't look at myself in the mirror.
Right.
I just didn't. I just, even at any point, I was just like, no, because I didn't want to look at it. And the first thing you do, just look. But you can stand there with the music on, just soak in the messaging. You don't have to dance, maybe, work your way up. And then just like look at herself. And then just try and repeat the messages that she has. Because honestly, I think her lyrics are great. And then eventually you'll work your way up to dancing, and that's where the fun begins. So that's tip number 2.
Yeah, well, dancing is very therapeutic, because the dancing, you're kind of losing yourself, aren't you?
You are.
I love dancing. To me, it's very freeing. And takes you into another place, which I love. So I get that one. Yeah, see, that's so weird, hun. So wicked. And number 3.
Hobby. Get a hobby to think, something else to focus on. Yeah, something else to focus on, or think bigger than yourself.
Something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Well, Josie Hough.
That's it.
You are indeed a badass.
Thank you.
Do you have any contact information for me now, or would you give me something later when I pop that in the post?
I can. I was thinking about this. I would like to help people, and I was thinking about maybe having like an email account to sort of have, if people want to like reach out to me or something.
Okay. Do you want to do that now? Do you want to post that to me later on? And
I might share that with you later.
Yeah, and if there is one, I'll put in the post below. Other than that, I've got ways of contacting Josie, and you can always come to myself and I can get in contact with Josie for you. But my darling, you're a badass. You are speaking up and you're speaking out. You are doing something about it. I appreciate it's a journey, right? You are speaking up and you're speaking out. You are going against your fears. You are out there. You are, breaking rules, kicking down walls. You are saying, and I love that bit you said about getting angry, because I say get badass about it, because we have to. We're fighting against some big old messaging in our minds. We're fighting against a big old machine out there. And I think the only way to cut through that noise is to get angry, is to get badass about it.
Yeah.
And you have done that, my darling. And I thank you with all of my heart. I just think you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and
thanks.
Strong, powerful woman who is out there making a change. So big up to you, Josie.
Right back at you.